Hey everybody, welcome to this AMP session. Today we are joined. This is part two. If you haven't seen the first part, go back and watch part one of our chat with Tim Hosking. Tim, welcome to AMP. Tell us where
Thank
you're
you.
at for those that didn't see the first one. Catch us up where you are, what you're doing, and then we'll jump into it.
Okay, so I'm in regional SA, an hour and 45 minutes out of Adelaide, northwest, on the Yorke Peninsula, in a region known as the Copper Coast. We have three major towns and then sub-towns from there. So we're Kadina, Moonta, Wallaroo, North Beach, Port Hughes, yeah, and former mining region, now very much a tourist. And it's within that 2 hour radius of Adelaide that people like to commute with. And so as the roads have improved, the commutes have happened, and so we've suddenly become very popular.
Yeah, that's excellent. And what I'd say is on the first episode, we talked a lot about your background, about
Sure.
and you were very raw and shared real stuff, which was amazing. I had such positive feedback about it. Um, this time I want to dive a little bit more because for those that didn't hear the first time, or maybe those that were here before, you sold 116 properties last year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just want to do a little bit of a deep dive on how you do that. What's your workflow and that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
I'll just get you
Okay.
to give us an overview and then I'll ask some questions along the way.
Yeah. 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 So um, my market always has COVID's changed many markets globally, but then when you come down to your local individual area, the markets changed dramatically for us. Pre-COVID, July of 2019, our market had 1,600 houses for sale in the area. Okay. As of this morning, we got 62.
That's a
So,
massive change.
yeah, supply and demand.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
We now have big demand, no supply or very limited supply. So with that, when you go back to pre-COVID, and I'm doing an appraisal, I'll quite clearly say to people, look, you could be under contract within 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years. And the reality was that was regional SA. James Stacey and I've spoken about a number of times about the pros and cons of being regional, that you carry more stock. So when COVID hit and everyone was buckling down, expecting the sky to fall for real estate, I think I had 130 or 140 properties that I was carrying at the time. And so when it lulled for a moment, but then took off very quickly, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, because I couldn't manage the number of people that were running at me with that volume of property. I engaged a lot of assistance to try and weather that storm. Okay. On the other hand, now I feel as if, look, when you come down to it, a vendor only cares about themselves. Okay. They don't care if you're carrying 3 properties or 60 properties. But if you're only carrying a couple, they question whether you're active enough or whether you're reliable enough or getting the results. Okay. But then the other side of it, you're carrying too much and they know you're carrying too much, or more than they're comfortable with, they can think they're not going to get the service or they get the what they need to get out of the market. Okay. Because you don't go in the market to stay there. The whole goal is to go in to get out, to move. And so the vendor lives in a bubble. They only see themselves. So when I'm discussing my workflow, I don't discuss what I'm carrying because, quite frankly, it's not to their advantage to know what I'm doing. Quite frankly, it doesn't matter. It doesn't help them to know what I do. But in my case, I'm my wife, or my lady Lisa. She refers to me as the duck. I'm nice and calm on the top of the water, and the feet are going like this underneath. I'm running constantly. The volume means that you are forever having to work hard with lots of stuff. So flow is probably the biggest thing. I guess routines, knowing what you do, when you start, when you finish, what the flow is. John McGrath always said, routine set you free. Okay. habits. I've just received a phone call a moment ago. Someone just rang and just said, "Hey Tim, I've just spoken to Fiona. She was a vendor of yours. You just settled. I'm now looking at selling." She said, "You're the only agent to go with." Now, I didn't just write it down. It's gone straight into Agent Box. A task has been created. A schedule has been done for when I'm doing it, what I need, what the information I require. If you're not doing that, you're just not on top of it, because the volume comes. You've got a touch points. I can't remember it all. I do remember a lot. And when you go to bed at night, yeah, your head's still spinning. So the last thing I'm doing as I'm exiting my office, which is of course at home, I go through and make sure that all my tasks are taken care of in Agent Box. So I know that when I walk away, I don't have to try and remember anything. It's all in there, absolutely all documented.
I think that's a really important lesson that a lot of agents, let's say, that play at that, they're carrying 0 to 5 listings, 0 to 10 listings. A lot of them are using their brains as Agent Box,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
as the task
Yeah.
manager, and it does keeps I've seen it keeps people small.
Do you know what that is?
Um, is that someone's brain?
No, that's plate spinning.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
spinning
yeah, yeah.
there, spinning there, spinning there. And as the more plates you have, the more you can drop. Now, again, you can know, well, I've got 30, 40 plates I'm spinning. So at the moment, in terms of, I run Airtable, so I've got an overview. So I've got 14 houses I'm currently working directly with. I've got another 10 coming to market, so that'll make 24. So my mind's going, got to get some stock sold. But at the same time, I've got another 14 that I've transitioned into unconditional sold. Got another 4 that are subject to finance, and one's just in a cooling off process that's a cash contract. So I've got an oversight. Now, I used to run a whiteboard up on the wall in my previous home, just a big one of them. And we've all seen them where you're transitioning from the process of, well, they're a lead, they're a listing, that now they're, where are we? So, I mean, I've got jot notes here for just literally this conversation, because it all happens around me, and they're all touch points. And there's a
And
workflow.
just to clarify for people that might not have called that, you're using Airtable
Mm, mm.
to organize that, and that's one of those Kanban kind of scenarios where you can move them through the sales journey.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't use them in the Kanban format where they're open. I literally have them as almost like as an Excel spreadsheet with columns and everything, just all documented.
Tony's saying, do you have any assistants?
I've got this extraordinary team at EXP called Renee and Rachel and Kirsten and Emily. They do an extraordinary job. No, I don't directly have a PA. My past employer provided them one PA per, I think she was managing 5 or 6 agents, but we're all doing fairly sizable volumes. So that has been a change to with EXP. I'm slightly more hands-on, and so the workflow, as Rachel and Emily have discussed with me, getting things down pat. You only want to touch something once. Let's just get it done, get it handled. Yes, there'll be changes, but when the changes happen, if you've got your sales story sheet done, you just go back and you tweak it. You don't have to reinvent it. It's again, it's just process. It's like when you process. Yes, I'm using Agent Box and Airtable religiously. Okay, but we've got a list. We've got photographs for people. We've got a floor plan to have done. We've got keys to organise access to the property. What's the process? We've got opens. Then we'll have offers. Then we have negotiations. We've got all this thing that's flowing through. Well, every time I list a property, it goes in once into Agent Box, and it has a heading of the address and what step it's doing. And then the moment I've ticked a step off, I'll drop that back in, make a notation. I move it forward approximately to where the next portion should be, whether, look, I'm touching base in 3 days' time. regarding just making sure now you understand this is what I need for the open this week, this touching base, da, da, da. I've touched base, I've noted it, I've moved it on to Tuesday, where I'm doing a vendor feedback from all the activity now. People are getting opens on a weekend, offers. Well, they're in direct communication, but everyone else. So from the get-go, when you're working with vendors, I'm not a fan of the word conditioning. I think that's just a wrong premise. Educating, okay? You're having them understand what your process is. I never promise what I can't deliver, and I never promise short. I always promise slightly longer, and then I can, if it all comes together, great, excellent, early, beautiful, they're up to date. But I don't promise I'm going to talk to you straight after the open. I just can't. I'm doing 6 opens back to back. You'll get an update late in the afternoon. But if there's negotiations in play, well, then you're working with it. It's all, you've got to make your volume manageable.
Yeah, I've always tried to think about it as you're doing a triage list, in the medical field, they're going, oh, da 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 da, and you're trying to do that. Someone making an
You
offer.
are. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Love it. And so do you work with checklists? You've just described a checklist, but do you have checklists that you run in your brain, on paper, in your computer system?
Yeah. So sitting right next to me here, I'm taped to the side of my multiple screens I've got here. I notate in Agent Box a bit differently. I do it via a time component. So at 1 a.m. on Agent Box, everything I've got under contract that needs to be handled, I'll allocate it at 1 a.m. 1:15 is everything that's upcoming settlement wise. 1:30 is any live offers. 2 o'clock are hot buyers. 2:30 upcoming listings that I'll be working with. 3 a.m. is proposals. 3:30 is follow-up appraisals. 4 sales agencies. 4:30 launches. 5:30 follow-up vendors. Now, what that does is that effectively every time I open up my Agent Box, or now with using Google Calendar, it's tasks. So it's right at the top of everything, and it's grouped. So everything that's settling is right there. And I can pay my eyes down the week and go, settlements. They're my to do. Oh, I spoke to him yesterday, and it's all grouped in tasks across my Outlook, across my calendar in Google, which has been a big improvement over others. But it's all there in Agent Box. So I schedule it via time, and then I just move the day.
Yeah, okay. So that's an interesting strategy. So you are using the normally non-productive part of your calendar as your benchmark, where that's your task list, or that's your overview of what's happening.
Yes.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's excellent.
Overview when you're carrying stock is critical. Having a broad brush approach. Like I was running just all these different ways of trying to keep on top of volume, and then I came across there was a discussion going on at a higher level that there was this other program they were looking at introducing, and I said, "Is it a big whiteboard?" And they said, "Yes." You've got to give it to me. So I got hold of it. I trialed it. Just magnificent. There's others out there.
Yeah.
But this works seamlessly for me because I can transition people from literally a lead into a listing, into a sale, into a settlement, and it just streamlines it beautifully.
And within your system that you've got there with Airtable and stuff, do you click into it and then that opens up more information, or how do you have it set up?
So I've got, let me just show you here. And the good thing is it works on my phone, on my tablet, everywhere.
Technology gives leverage.
Oh, absolutely. I can't share screens. I don't do that sort of thing. I'm only on
That's all right.
I'm bitten on tech in that area. Where are we? Hold on a second.
I think some of our audience, Tim, so far has already had a stroke because of what you just described, that organizational flow. And others are going, yeah, totally makes sense.
Sitting on here, let me just come a bit closer.
Yep.
So you can see there.
Yep.
Okay, there's just that is all. What's that? That's sales. So that's all property sales. So I can click on any one of them, and she then opens right up that I can then
Yep.
scroll through and complete other details. So I've got checklists from the moment it starts through. If I just go back one and go in under a listing. So if I grab one, here we are. We'll just do forward. So that starts. So that I've got an on-off for open inspections. Am I doing OFIs? Just again, overview. It's
Yeah.
all over. Have I had completed my CMA? Have I completed my legals? Is the sales agency complete? Is it with the vendor? Has EXP got the sales agency? Have I invoiced for marketing? Have they paid it? Have the conveyancer been sorted? Who is the conveyancer? Who's the Form 1 ordered? Has it been received? Have I got my title? Have I organised the contract to be written? That's one thing I do outsource. One thing I can reliably just get written, one thing not to have to worry about, get my contracts done. Has my photographer been booked? Have they scheduled it? What is being scheduled? Is it an aerial views, house shots, floor plans? They're all dot points all the way down, and there's myriads of them all the way down. So at a glance, I can go, what have I missed?
Yeah.
Because again, I want to try and remember everything. There is just too much to try and remember.
And what you're talking about is you have set up your business in a project management way rather than
repeat.
rather than a winging it ad hoc kind of a
No,
way.
it's the classic rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. Because if it's not repeatable, I'm not going to make it because I can't carry it. It's just not. It's just too large to carry.
Yeah. And just as an overview, so we've been chatting for about 20 minutes so far. And just as an overview, were you always this way, or did you migrate this way just because of necessity?
So as a background, I guess I've got an advanced diploma in electrical engineering. I was an apprentice electrician, hydraulics, pneumatics, robotics, automation. So I'm process orientated. So that's So in that regard, I'm organised. I'm also not an engineer, so I haven't got my heads in the clouds. I've got my feet on the ground. I'm an original tradie. So when you're talking, I want stuff that really works, not the stuff that theoretically works. I want to. So when I'm even sitting with vendors, I'm solutions driven. What's your problem? Listen again. Okay, they've given you the key. Okay, these are the calls. These are the possible scenarios. What will work for you? So it's all process driven, but solution driven. So don't give me a program that doesn't work. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that because it it reminds us that as real estate agents, we get to design our business however we want, the way we do business, our own workflows. And it's a great question to ask if you're ever coaching an agent. So how did you come about deciding that this is the best workflow for you,
Okay.
and they've got they've got no idea what they're doing, and their diaries all over the place, and there's
Yeah.
schmozzle, and they're handling 4 listings and they've got no time. And you think,
Yeah.
okay, what's your workflow? How did you choose that? And is it working for you? Yeah.
They're good questions to ask, aren't they?
It's often not.
Yeah. I talk to people and have done over the 30 odd years that I'm in real estate, and it's all about managing time, managing expectations, managing self, managing this. You can't. You can speak too much. You can tell them too much. If they've already said yes to go forward, you don't need to complicate any further. You get out the listing form. You don't. Yeah, balance is such an important thing. I thought the other week when you were talking with the two guys, and that classic statement, I'm not going to forget it. Real estate balance doesn't exist. You just swing from one point to the other point, and it's this constant flow. I'll get to a point where I'm back to three or four to active listings, and I've got an edge on me. And Lisa will say, "Hey, we'll get away now." And all of a sudden, I've just listed 10 other properties, and I go, "I can't get away now."
Yeah.
So just this constant flow is that's the I guess it's the challenge. Love working with numbers.
And it's interesting as well because it's a very productive agent. You've got whether it's a written, it will have started as a mental benchmark. This is the
Hmm.
amount of work that I can handle. So when you dip down under those numbers, whatever that number is,
Yeah.
it it drives your instinct. I need to get more stock,
Hmm.
you know.
And that's the look. Lisa forever says, "What do you mean you're going to advertise for more stock? What are you doing?" Like, because the volume keeps coming, that he keeps going. I run at about 80 to 82% referral base.
Hmm.
I've been in the same market here for nearly 20 years. I was a high-profile pastor at one point. I did 114 weddings as a wedding photographer locally. I made sure that when the shoot was on, everyone knew who I was because I had a name on my back.
Yeah.
I wanted everyone to know who my cars when I prior to my previous employer were all badged up like race cars with everything on it. Well, I've just changed my car, and a few of the guys have seen the design. I've got the last bit of the design getting tweaked out at the moment, but she's going to get all badged up again because I want people to know that Tim's on the job, Tim's around, Tim's doing things, because activity creates activity.
Yeah. Yeah. And
But it's that where
I think it's
you should
really
be. I should be
important.
getting less, but I'm becoming more.
Yeah.
That, yeah.
I think something that's really interesting that we see is that depending on your ecosystem that you're working in,
Hmm.
the high profile badging of vehicles and all that kind of stuff, that works in a certain demographic. And then you see other demographics and people go, "Oh no, I don't want any of
Hmm.
that. I want to be
Hmm.
the secret agent out there just
Hmm.
stealthfully arriving at someone's home." Uh,
I never pull up for years. I've never. Everyone knows my car.
yeah,
I've got Hozza as my number plate, which is my football nickname,
yeah,
and I never pull up at the front of a house that I'm talking to. Talking, not listed. Listed, I'll always pull up.
yeah,
But if I'm talking to them, I park a street away. I make sure that when I get out, I'm not incognito, but the reality is I get out and I walk around the corner. And as I leave, people always say, "Where's your car?" I said, "Well, we're here just talking. Um, where we go from here is your business."
yeah.
Okay. I've parked in the next street. The neighbors will all be talking about someone here selling in that street, not where we are.
Yeah,
And people will love that.
yeah.
Absolutely love that. So I never pull up.
I think that's a
Yeah.
great tip because the little town that I did real estate in for ages, there'd be a few guys with branded cars, and there'd be those other agents in town follow the car and then be door
Yeah.
knocking on the house afterwards.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Well, I pulled up last year, pulled up in a mate's place in Wallaroo, and I drove in his driveway. I didn't have my real estate head on at the time, and I just turned up to say good day, parked in his driveway. We said goodbye. I drove away. Within 2 hours, he had three agents knocking on his door. I hear you listen. You're going to market. What are you talking? He didn't even see me as a real estate agent. He hadn't connected. And he was
yeah.
complaining a week later. "Oh, sorry, mate. I should have parked around the corner."
That's good. That's good. Let's jump back in and just finish
Mm,
off a little bit. Walk us through at a high level. You kind of have already, but walk us through at a high level
mm.
from appraisal through to settlement. How does Tim Hosking have that structure? So
Okay.
someone like you just said, you had a call that someone
Yes.
said, "Yeah,
Okay. So that lady's been logged straight into agent box. I've already set a task against it, and the task went as a 3 a.m. task for today. That automatically pushed it in with the other proposals I've got to put together because I've got three more appraisals tomorrow. So those three will be grouped together, dropped into today's to-do list. When I prepare and have everything done, I'll drop it in against tomorrow just as a reminder. Hey, I have this schedule. The moment I've done the appraisal tomorrow, I'll change an agent box to the presentation. So it's no longer an appraisal, it's a presentation. Again, that's a nice flow that works really well in an agent box as an oversight for what you're working with. Then I'll then schedule it for, depending on the client and how I've left, I'll either be talking to them again in a day or two, or if I get the feeling that, hey, that's too intense, they're needing more time, I'll put it against Tuesday. But again, that drops into 3:30 time, which is follow-up appraisals. So then I will literally go on to the 3:30 time. Once I've listed, that drops into, or I'm going to be listing, that again drops into a 4 a.m. time with a sales agency. So I'll have that built prior, meet, list, then roll everything out so that the CMA and the listing will all get loaded into agent box. Rachel and the listing team will get an update. Hey, it's all saved in agent box. It's all there for you, both the CMA and the sales agency. I've already done the printout of the invoice that's already been sent to the vendor requesting payment. That's been done for the VPA. They send me back a copy. I'll flick that through to Renee so she knows what the reference is that they've used, and we just keep rolling it through from there. It's a fairly seamless process. At the meantime, I've got here on my big screen, big vertical one, I've got Airtable open. And as I'm doing stuff, I'm just clicking through that listing, clicking off the things that are happening, oversighting, seeing if I've missed anything. Again, if you're doing it, I'm doing it on one, it's repeatable. You just keep, you got a second, okay, same thing. Third, same thing. 20, same thing. It's just volume.
Yeah, no, that's so good. That's so good. And I love the fact that you've got a vertical screen there with your Airtable, and you're just moving them across whatever the next thing is, you're updating it.
Yeah.
And what I like about what you're telling us and teaching us, Tim, is the fact that you do a task, you track the task, and you don't go, "Oh, I'll come back to that." You just move it so that because you're doing so much volume.
I haven't got any tasks that are overdue.
Yeah.
If you go into Agent Box, there's not one overdue task in there. They're all being moved at the end of every day to where they need to be, or I'm reprioritizing them for the next day. And that way you're not behind in work.
I'm going to ask you a question, which silly not to. With the volume of listings you have and the new stock you're coming on, how do you handle the buyer inquiry? I'm imagining it's coming in via email, direct message, phone call, that kind of stuff.
Facebook, I have an exposure between 40 and 55,000 people a month at my Facebook level. So most properties run between 8 and 20,000 exposure. So Facebook alone is a ridiculous number. In a more stable market, excuse me, it's great when I can price properties, but we're in a very transient market at the moment where it's still growing. And so I'm coming to market with everything that's a house as expressive interest, which causes, and my opening line in every paragraph for every property is, please contact Tim Hosking for an expected market value. So I'm even asking people to contact me, which is increasing the number of buyer inquiries.
And they're reading it and they're contacting you.
And they're contacting, but that's what I want. I don't want people. Look, I got stopped in the shops the other day at a supermarket where this fella yelled out at me and size of a barn door, maybe your height, but 4 foot wide type size.
Yeah.
Called out, "You're that agent!" And I've looked across at the serving staff, and the young lass that's there who I've sold for, she's going, "It's okay, Tim, we've got your back." I got my back. This little will of a wisp. Yeah. And so I've walked towards, because I don't mind confrontation. I think it's an opportunity for us to impart knowledge, get past problems.
Yeah.
I don't like violence. That's a different thing. But confrontation, I think, is an opportunity. Okay. So I've walked up and said, "Hey, I'm Tim." I've handed him my card straight away. And he goes, "Yeah, it's you." And I said, "Me, what do I do?" And he goes, "Everything you sell, it's EOI." So I've just quickly picked up my phone and said, "Oh, which property after?" He goes, "I'm looking at such and such." So I just went straight in there into my notes. There's the guide straight away on my phone. And I said, "Yeah, we're looking at a high 5 into 6." And he went, "Right, okay." I said, "Which other one are you looking at?" "Oh, I'm looking at this one." Now, again, it was about having that process. They're already sitting there ready. So the moment someone texts me, messages me, emails me, I've got scripts written, email signatures already pre-populated. As a list of property, it's one of my checkpoints on Airtable. Signature done. Bang, send, bang, send. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's all there. Just keep doing the same thing. It'd be great when the market here levels and you can start to pick, because we'll get a property. Everything says it's a high 5, low 6, and you sell it for 720. Well, if you'd only come onto the market at 620, you might have just blown 100,000. And I'm client focused. I want the absolute best outcome for every single one of my vendors. So while the market's still moving, I'll go EOI. But if it stabilizes and I can say, "Hey, you're a legitimate 620, and that's where they're going to end," well, that'll be great, because then I won't EOI anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So
on an average day
yeah,
through all channels, how many buyer inquiries do you absorb?
25 to 30 every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a new property just launched this morning, waiting for that to kick in, and so I'm expecting probably across all channels maybe 50 to 80 today, because it's just launching.
Yeah, for that property. And so
For that alone,
if you're doing 20, let's say on the conservative side, you're doing 20 across 20 properties, that's a stack of inquiry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And are you logging all of those buyer inquiries into a database that you market to, or?
So by default, of course, REA and
Yeah.
domain are going to the agent box. But I also grab everyone that's got a mobile number and I put them straight into Home Pass. That way they're there, and I can, when they come in the second time and or look at the property in person, I've got all the information there. I can log them quickly, easily,
Yeah.
move them on through. I can update them easily. Home Pass is definitely a very, very good tool.
Yeah. Excellent. Tim, any other thoughts that you'd like to share about how you are handling this stuff at a high volume? Either from
Yeah,
a mental side or a tool side, or
yeah.
that kind of
Look,
thing.
look, I'm at my desk normally by 6:30, 7 a.m. Okay. I finished last night at, what was that? I think that was a 11:45 last night. It's 7 days a week. I went to Akarula, which is in the Northern Flinders Ranges, just after I started with EXP, and that was the first 4 consecutive days off I'd had this year.
Yeah.
Okay. Volume single agent, it's not the best thing for holidays and getting away. I got to Port Lincoln once, went over the James and Jason area for a week, and after 7 days of just madness trying to manage flow, Lisa just said, "We're going home." I went, yeah. And we'd sold 3 on the way over. We sold another 3 on the way back, and then another 10 in the first 3 days of getting back. It just, look, yeah, it's not ideal, but see, I've got no kids left at home.
Yeah.
But I run big volumes back then. But that's when I had my PA to answer Tony's question. I had to hand stuff off. You got to be prepared to do the hours, because every single vendor considers they are the only person in your life.
Yeah.
And so you have to have that mindset that you have to bring your A game, not to part, but all. And that's part of the weight you carry as an agent, because every single I had a lady I messaged late yesterday, and I made an oversight. I messaged her late to say, "Hey, looking at this, and we've got quite a bit of wet weather forecast. And I made the comment, it may be in your best interest to launch in a week and a half's time. Well, I had a myriad of text messages come through. They're carrying a $2,100 a month mortgage that they can't carry.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, Tim, get out of your bubble, get into theirs,
Yeah.
see where their picture is. Okay, so I've finished everything. The sign ordering got done. The brochures got scheduled, done. Everything was set for this morning, just waiting for it to all kick through. When Rachel starts today, she'll punch it through. But it went live on Facebook at about 6:30 this morning, and already there's inquiries everywhere on it. So, you got to understanding each individual client is so important. What's their timeline? What's their expectation? And that's important to be in their bubble, even if you're carrying 20 or 50 bubbles. You've still got to move between them. You almost need to become a chameleon. Whether you're selling a $150,000 symmetrical cottage that was from 1865 miners and it's got a wall that's falling down, or whether you're in a $2.5 million marina property that and it's their castle. Well, everyone's a castle.
Yeah. Tim, thank you so much for taking time out of your
No
I
problem.
don't know where you slotted us in your calendar, but that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing. And agents will get a lot out of this on the replay as well. I think agents will be coming, they'll be scrolling back going, wait, he said he did what? He did what? He did this? Great. So fantastic.
People are welcome to reach out if they want a tip or anything else. Happy to have people just flick me an email or a text or something. Yeah, always happy to catch up. No problem.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. And best of luck this week, staying on top of all the new listings.